Over the last couple weeks, we've gone over e-file anatomy as well as different types of bits that are available on the market for different purposes while we're doing nails. And this week, I wanted to show you guys a simple exercise you can use to practice e-filing properly. Hey guys, it's Liz Morris from the Nail Hub, and I am back this week to show you guys a quick exercise that you can use to practice e-filing. This applies for someone who's never done this before, and it's also great for people that have been e-filing for a while, but maybe you're not quite sure whether or not you're doing it properly. So I'm going to show you guys a quick thing that you can do to remove gel polish color. If you remember from a few episodes back, I showed you guys the very manual way to remove gel polish, which is the filing and the scraping method, and I talked about how through that process we can actually create a lot of inadvertent damage by over scraping the nail, over buffing the nail, and we talked about what to look for. If you haven't watched that video, I recommend you go back because understanding the basics of how to remove gel polish, what's nail, what's gel, what to look for is extremely important with everything that we do, especially moving into e-filing techniques. This week, I wanted to show you guys a really basic exercise that you can use to practice e-filing and getting comfortable with it. I think that e-filing is definitely one of those things that you need to at some point take an in-person class. It's very difficult to get a feel for what you are doing and whether you're doing it correctly without someone actually checking your work. So I'm working on a project that will allow you guys to actually get into more advanced stuff and be able to get that one-on-one time and that one-on-one check with me personally. That's going to be coming next year, and I'm very excited about it. But today I wanted to at least show you a basic exercise you can use to ensure that you're doing e-filing as safely as possible, but that you're also able to get the results that you're looking for. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to be doing today. So I have my lovely fake hand that freaks out a lot of you guys, and I think that's hilarious because it does look so real. So here I've got my fake hand. I have a base coat, 2 layers of gel polish on this nail here, and top coat. So what I want you guys to do to start this exercise is either on yourself or on a practice hand, put base coat down, 2 coats of color, and top coat. Make sure all of that is well cured, and then you can clean the nail. And then I want you guys to actually put a different color of gel polish over this. Now, I think it's important to have at least the 2 coats of color there. You don't have to put top coat necessarily if you don't want to. I already was testing this, so I do have top coat on this, and it has been sitting for a while. So I'm just gonna quickly buff and clean this nail before I put a different color on top of it. Usually when top coat is freshly baked, and I use the term baked very loosely, but usually once top coat is freshly cured, you are able to put gel right on top of it. It still is slightly porous, and you're gonna be able to get that adhesion. But if you've got gel that's been sitting there for a while, it's had top coat on, it's had exposure to other things, I definitely recommend buffing and cleaning the nail before you put any other gel on top of it. So just a light buff like that, and then I'm gonna take a clean wipe with some alcohol and just clean off any oil or dust. Okay, so I've got a nice clean buffed nail, and then I'm just gonna pick a lighter color to put on top of this. I really recommend doing a dark color and then a light color on top of it. It's gonna make it easier for you to see during this exercise what you are doing. So I'm just gonna put one coat. You can do 2 if you want to. Oh, and I got fuzz, hold on one second. Doesn't have to be perfect, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, so one nice even coat of a different color on top of the finger. Okay, and then we're gonna cure this in our lamp for 30 seconds. So basically what we're gonna be doing is practicing taking off that lighter color over the darker color. This is a great way for you to visibly see how much product you are taking off at any given time. When I first started learning how to e-file, I learned on my own like many people do, and I completely wrecked my nails the first time I e-filed. It's very easy to do, and it's just because it's such an odd thing we've never done before. There's a lot of natural weight that we do when we set down our e-file, which I'll show you in a second. And so by practicing just taking off a small thin layer of one color and only exposing the color underneath, you're gonna be able to practice taking off nice even coats of product instead of making huge divots in the nail. Okay, so I've got my nail cured here, and you can put top coat on this as well if you want to. I'll put a no cleanse top coat just so I don't have to clean it. Okay, so you should have base coat on your nail, 2 coats of color, top coat if you want to, another lighter color, and then more top coat on top. So your nail should be pretty thick at this point. The reason why I'm having you guys build up this nail so thick in a way that is not realistic for any single service we would do is I want you to have that margin of error, or that I want you to have that cushion, so that if you do accidentally e-file too much, you've got product protecting your nail. And again, you can do this on yourself, or do it on a practice hand. I highly recommend you do this on yourself at some point, because you also need to feel the sensation of any heat or vibration that's being caused, and I'm gonna talk about that in a second, okay? So I've got my fake hand here that's cured, and now I'm going to start e-filing. So I've got my no cleanse top coat on here, so I don't need to clean that. And today I'm gonna be using a bit that is able to be used by both left-handed people and right-handed people, okay? So I'm gonna leave my bit out just a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. I close my e-file and I just give it a nice tug just to make sure that that's secure. This bit is a specialty carbide, so if you remember from last week I was talking about specialty carbide bits. So this one is great for shaving product without creating heat. It's only gonna take off layers of product. It doesn't sand, it shaves, and this particular bit does file in both directions. So if you're left-handed or right-handed, you can work with this bit. It doesn't matter, okay? And I'm gonna put the link to this bit down below in case you guys like this particular one. All right, now I'm going to turn my e-file on all the way up. And I know that is gonna seem strange because a lot of you are like, wait a minute, Liz, I haven't e-filed before. Why am I gonna turn it all the way up? That's really scary. Well, I'll tell you why. If you put this kind of bit super low, and you can even see, it becomes much more textured here. It actually does not pull as nicely. It kind of bounces on the nail, okay? So I want you to turn it all the way up. If you're right-handed, you're gonna be in forward. If you're left-handed, you're gonna be in reverse. And I want you to take your e-file all the way up to the highest speed that it goes. And this is what we're gonna practice doing, okay? So just watch me for one second. Start in the center of the nail. Don't start up by the cuticle area. Start right here so you can see where your bit is touching. And if I show you from the side, let me zoom in here just a little bit so you can see. Okay, so from the side, I want to make sure that I'm just touching the center of the nail. I'm not up by the cuticle area, and I'm not too far down. And the easiest way to practice this is just doing some strips. Okay, so I've got my e-file here. I'm balancing my hand, which is very important. So I put my pinky on my other hand. That allows me to adjust the weight that I'm putting on my e-file. This is extremely important to balance your hand. Some people do it with 2 fingers or 3 fingers. You know, you can do 2 fingers if you want to. I do just 1 like this, but it depends on how you do that. And you're gonna hold your e-file just like a pencil. Okay, I am going to show you how most beginners do this. They set the bit down and then they start filing. Can you see how I made a big old hole there and then I didn't take any color off down below? So that is what most people do when they start e-filing. They kind of they don't balance their hand, they just set the bit down and then they start pulling. And you can see how it makes a big hole there and then it starts pulling through the rest of the color. The way you want to do this is you want to create even pressure. I'm going to kind of do this from up high so you can kind of see while I'm doing this. I'm going to balance my hand. I'm going to very lightly touch the surface of the nail and I'm going to make one nice consistent movement. Okay? So the goal is to be able to get one nice strip off and only take off the pink, not the dark color underneath. Can you see how I did a nice strip all the way from here where I touched my e-file down to there? And we can even look at this from the side. Can you see how there's no divot in the nail? It's just one even strip all the way down. That is exactly what you want to do, okay? So the easiest way to do this when you're first learning is start this way and pull towards yourself. I find that to be easy. You can also do it this way as well, but I find this to be a little bit more awkward for people who are just starting out with e-filing. I think naturally we're good at pulling things towards ourselves, so that's what I usually recommend when I teach. Okay, so again, I'm going to just, with full speed on my e-file, balancing my hand, I'm going to attempt to just take off one even strip of color all the way down, like so. Okay, it might take you a couple passes depending on how lightly or heavily you're doing it. If you see that you immediately touch down and you go through all the way to base coat, you are being way too heavy-handed. You don't want this. You want to just be able to remove one strip of color without taking off any of that darker color underneath. Okay, so this is correct. This is not correct. When you get up to the cuticle area, you can go this way, and this bit is actually round on the top, and I can even touch my skin. That's why I like this one, because it's very unlikely to cut someone. When I go up to the cuticle area, I don't go up here like this. I just go close, and I'm gonna leave a small perimeter of pink all the way around the nail. Okay, so just start here, and as soon as you touch down, you're gonna start pulling to the left. If you're right-handed, you're gonna start here and go left to right. If you're right-handed, you're gonna go right to left, okay? I'm in forward on my e-file because I'm a right-handed person. When I'm in forward, I start on the right, and I go to the left. Okay, let me do it in reverse for you so I can show you. I'm gonna turn my machine all the way off or put it in neutral. Now I'm in reverse, okay? So if you're left-handed, you're gonna do this way, okay? So you can come across left to right. And if I were left-handed, which I am not, so this is very awkward. If I was left-handed, I'm gonna balance my fingers here. I'm in reverse, and I'm just gonna lightly touch down and come straight down the nail in reverse, okay? So I did have someone on my last video comment that you don't need reverse bits. You do, because as a left-hander, your normal forward per se should be reverse. It's the exact opposite. So you should be able to file in both directions as a left-handed person, but when you're filing the normal way, you're gonna be in reverse, and you're gonna do either up, down, or left, right, okay? So let me turn this off one more time. That's what's cool about this bit, is you can do either direction. Some people also hold the nail like this. You can do overhanded if you want to maintain more control over the person's finger. You can also block the skin on both sides of the hand to make sure that you're not going to hit their finger, you're gonna hit your own. And it does give you a lot of control to do overhanded. I like to do underhanded grip. That's the way I'm used to doing it. It doesn't matter, you can do either way. And I usually will, if I'm getting close to the skin, I will put my fingers on either side, or I will put my thumb up by their cuticle area to protect their skin, okay? When you get to this side, you're gonna rotate their hand all the way this way, or you can also go this way and look at it this way, okay? So whichever way you wanna do it. I usually go like this. I put the hand all the way facing away from me, so I'm turning the person's wrist and kind of bending their finger down, and then I can see all the way up their sidewall. So I'm gonna start here. I don't go all the way out by the end because I'll show you what, it's very, well, this one isn't so bad, but see how it kind of catches on certain things? Okay, so it catches on the corner. So don't start all the way at the corner, just come right here. Very light pressure, super light pressure, let the bit do the work for you, and see how I can take off almost all of that color, okay? Come around, super light pressure, just tickling the nail like that, and then I can rotate the finger all the way this way, and come down, okay? So can you see I took off almost all the pink? For this part, you can come this way across the free edge. And now that I've gotten all that pink off, now I can go ahead, and you can see the mistake that I showed you guys before about too much pressure. But here on this dark color, you can see that there's no divots in the nail whatsoever. I just took off the pink. I can get a teeny bit closer. When I get closer to the cuticle, I tip my e-file up just ever so slightly. When I go through the body of the nail, I have it more flat. And when I do the free edge, I kind of back down my bit to like a little bit of an angle. So here, 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 if you remember from my previous video. And so I come up to the cuticle and I look, I even turn the person's finger and I get up so close that I can see exactly where my bit is gonna set down. I don't wanna do this on their skin. See, I'm touching her skin. I wanna do right here, and just e-file that little bit right there, the pink part, okay? And I can do that here as well. So I pull the skin back like this, and I can put my finger right there, pull her skin back, and I can come up and tip up just a little bit. Super, super light pressure, and I can get all of that pink off. Okay, so let me dust this off for you so you can see. Okay, so I was able to get all that pink off. There's a teeny bit right there in the center, so I can just touch that, get rid of that. So the exercise I want you guys to do is I want you to have all of this base coat on there and color, because if you accidentally do this, you're gonna hit base coat, you're not gonna hit your natural nail. And then once you do the pink or whatever lighter color, you can go through and practice the exact same thing, but this time you're gonna practice lightly taking off the darker color and leaving the base coat. Okay, so I can do right to left if I want to, super light pressure. Then I come down. And you can do multiple layers of color if you want to. The 2 coats of color should take a little bit longer than the 1. Okay, so you'll see me do different angles. Tip the finger down. Super light pressure. You can see I can tip up really high to get down in there, come a little bit flatter to get this part of the nail, then come around. And you curve around just like you do, see the cuticle area curves. Curve around. Super light pressure, very, very light pressure. Let the bit do the work for you. And if you have it on full speed, it's going to feel very smooth. It's going to shave nicely. It's not going to bounce. And you're going to be able to use extremely light pressure to just tickle away all of this color. Okay? Now, I left a little bit of a perimeter for a reason, and I'm going to show you guys what we're going to do with that later. But I want you guys to practice this. So if you look at the base coat, can you see that? How there's no divots. There's no divots in the nail. See how I was able to maintain the natural shape of the base coat that I want? That's what you want as the end result after you're done doing this. Okay? So I'm going to put some more gel on here again, and I'm going to show you in real time what this looks like. But I want you guys to take it extremely slow. Practice taking off the layers of color, so you could even put 3, 4, 5 layers of color, whatever you want. Obviously make them very, very different colors so you can see. And I want you to just practice taking off layers of color without touching the base coat or the natural nail underneath. So that's very important for you to practice, especially if you're doing it on yourself, is the best way to do it. But I'm going to put some gel back on this hand, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how I do it in real time. And as I've discussed in my previous safety video, this time I'm going to show you guys how to do this over a dust vacuum. It's very important to think about dust while we're e-filing. Half the time on these videos, I'm not doing it over a dust collector because I don't want the noise to cover my voice. But right now, real time, removing these layers of gel polish, I'm going to do this over a dust collector because when we are e-filing or hand filing, there's a lot of dust that's produced, and we definitely don't want to be breathing that in, nor do we want it sitting on our skin. So I'm going to show you guys the big difference when I e-file. If you guys remember, you saw my hands get covered in dust. I'm going to show you the difference of when you work with an actual dust collector, how it can contain all of that product that we're e-filing. Okay, so I just finished putting on a light pink color and 2 coats of blue. I've got a little bit of grit in my gel, but who cares? We're just doing this to practice. I'm going to turn on my dust vacuum so you guys can see me do that. Oh. Okay. This is all the way up. I'm just going to turn it about 3/4 of the way. Okay. All right, so you guys should be able to see all that blue dust right here. This is all dust from me filing the nail that's on my dust collector instead of in my lungs or all over my hands or all over my clothes. And I'll show you guys really quick what it looks like when I'm actually filing on product. So that's the exercise for you guys today. I want you guys to practice e-filing off layers of color without touching your natural nail. If you do end up wrapping the bit around your finger or you end up cutting yourself, that means that you're probably putting too much pressure on the nail. Everyone makes mistakes when they first learn. I can tell you from firsthand experience that when I started as a nail technician, I didn't learn how to properly e-file in school. Nobody really taught me how to do it, and I did have to kind of learn on my own. It is one of those things that there are classes, but as a beginner, or maybe even someone who lives in an area where you're not exposed to courses, it can be difficult to find this kind of education. Also, if you are a client, it's extremely important for you to understand that when you go to a salon to get your nails done, there should be zero heat, zero pain associated with someone using an e-file, and you should not have any marks in your nails. We call those red marks rings of fire, and that means that someone is drilling into your natural nail. So your nails should stay the same whether someone is using a hand file or an e-file. It really is the person who does the damage. And I want you to understand that there is no pain, no gain type of mentality in the nail salon. My clients do not feel heat. I don't cut and burn them, and it's something that I work very diligently at to be an awesome nail technician who's able to use powerful tools to do my job better, but I don't do that while sacrificing the success or the health of my client, okay? So that's extremely important for you to understand. And if you are a beginner nail tech, or even if you're someone you've been doing nails for a long time and you've wanted to get into e-filing and it scares you, or you've heard lots of kind of different things about it, what I can tell you is it's like anything. It is a responsibility that you have to be willing to take on. You have to dedicate yourself to being educated and really working on honing the skills so that you are able to do it properly. But it's like anything. It's like driving a car or, renting a chainsaw or mowing the lawn or cooking on the stove. All of these things are things that can go wrong. You can burn yourself, cut yourself, injure yourself, crash into other things. But if you learn how to do it properly and you practice, you're going to be able to do it safely and you're not going to hurt yourself or other people. I recommend you upgrade to working on family and friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, brothers, sisters, moms, dads, anybody who's willing to let you put product on them and practice e-filing it off. It's going to really help you get a feel for what you're doing, and it's going to be someone that's going to give you honest feedback about how it feels. You're not going to feel so intimidated by it being a complete stranger, and you're going to be able to go through those paces. So start with a practice hand, then yourself, and then once you really feel confident, start practicing on other people. Starting with people that are close to you, friends and family are the best. But it is one of those things that you should feel nervous while you're doing this the first time. If you don't feel nervous, then I recommend you really think about if you're doing this in an overconfident way. It should be something that you're very gentle about, you're very diligent about, you're very focused about, and I want you to really think about being precise rather than being quick, okay? When you first start, I want you to just practice on doing this precisely, doing it safely, doing it carefully. And then once you start to get confident and you start to feel better about it, you can start, working on other things quickly and starting to go through these things a little bit quicker, okay? If you don't have a bit like the one I use today, I will put the link to it down below. Anyone can purchase this bit. I am opening this up to anyone who wants to try it. And I have the control to do that because I don't have this bit from a manufacturer who sells pro only. So I want you guys to be able to practice this with the bit that I've provided on this video. It's a great one. It's left-handed, it's right-handed, and it works in any e-file that is standard, which is 3/32 of an inch wide for your lock chuck. And you can also practice if you just have sanding bands, you can practice with that as well. But I think you're gonna notice a huge difference between this bit and a sanding band or a hand file. Because those sanding bands are fabric and because they sand the product rather than shave the product, you're gonna notice a lot more heat and a lot more friction while you're removing the color. And you should definitely practice on yourself with the two different ones to see what the difference is. You will definitely notice more heat. Even with all of those layers of product, you will notice more heat on your finger with a sanding band or a hand file than you will with a bit like this, the one that I used today, okay? So I'll put the link below the video. If you guys have any questions about this, please feel free to ask me. I am so happy to help you guys get good at this. I really believe in e-filing. I think it is something that really helps us be more precise with what we're doing. Again, it saves us hand, wrist, elbow, arm damage, from hand filing for years. E-filing is a great way for us to take that whole movement and put it into a small rotating machine that allows us to do the same amount of work. And it allows us to be much more precise. We're able to focus just on the nail, just on the product without touching any of the other surrounding skin. So I really recommend you guys practice this. I hope it goes well for you. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to post below this video. I'm happy to do that, okay? I will be in touch again soon with another episode. I hope you guys all are doing amazing and I will see you again. All right, bye.